Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another episode of the Carnivore Kitchen podcast. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today we're going to be having steak and discussing periodization. And for those of you interested in learning how to dry age steak at home, check out the recipe link in the description. The name of today's episode is Variety is the Spice of Life. A common mistake that most people make when they begin to train is to perform the same workout for months or even years without ever changing anything up. If you want to continue to improve, then you need to change up your workout routine once you are no longer seeing results. This means deliberately manipulating your acute exercise variables, your sets, repetitions, intensity, tempo, time under tension, and rest periods to optimize and progress your performance and prevent overtraining. This deliberate manipulation of acute exercise variables is called periodization and is very important to learn if you want to maximize training adaptations. Depending on your goal, there are 5 components to periodization: the workout, the microcycle, the mesocycle, the macrocycle, and the quadrennial cycle. The workout is the structural unit of the microcycle and is each individual workout. The microcycle is the structural unit of the mesocycle. It will consist of anywhere between 1 to 7 individual workouts and is typically your weekly plan. The mesocycle is your singular training cycle or block and will typically last between 2 to 6 weeks. The macrocycle is your complete training cycle and can be as short as 3 months for the general population or for professional athletes who compete multiple times per year, and up to 1 year for more advanced trainees or for professional athletes who compete either once per year or who have a regular season where they compete regularly throughout the year. Lastly, we have the quadrennial cycle, which is a multi-year plan up to 4 years and is typically reserved for Olympic athletes. As a general rule, you should be able to progress by at least 2% each workout. That means that if you are unable to either perform 2% more repetitions or lifting 2% more weight, it's time to change things up. When you are no longer able to progress, this is referred to as a plateau, and a lot of how quickly the body adapts to a training routine will come down to your training age, or the experience of the lifter. For someone who is brand new to training and who has never worked out before, they may be able to perform the same workout 12 times before they hit a plateau. For an elite professional athlete who has been training for decades, their body will adapt much more quickly, and in order to prevent hitting a plateau, they may need to change up their workout every 1 to 2 workouts. For the average person, I find that changing the workout every 6 to 7 workouts seems to be the best strategy and yields the best results. For this podcast, I will be covering 3 common types of periodization: linear periodization, undulating periodization, and block periodization. Linear periodization is a way to structure your workouts where intensity increases over time as volume decreases over time. This means that typically, sets, intensity, load, and rest will increase with each subsequent workout, while repetitions, volume, and time under tension will decrease. This style of periodization is terrific for beginners or athletes who compete in a high-intensity sport where peak speed, strength, and power are the predominant biomotor abilities. Sports such as powerlifting, sprinting, baseball, and football. In a practical setting, if you were writing an 8-month linear periodization workout for something like your first powerlifting competition, then it might look a little something like this. In month 1, you could do 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions with 45 seconds rest. Month 2, 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions with 60 seconds rest. Month 3, 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions with 90 seconds rest. Month 4, 4 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions with 120 seconds rest. Month 5, 5 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions with 150 seconds rest. Month 6, 6 sets of 4 to 6 repetitions with 180 seconds rest. Month 7, 7 sets of 2 to 4 repetitions with 240 seconds rest. And in month 8, 8 sets of 1 to 2 repetitions with 300 seconds rest. Undulating periodization is a way to structure your workouts where you are alternating between periods of low intensity and higher volume, and periods of higher intensity and lower volume. The periods of low intensity are referred to as the accumulation phases, and the periods of high intensity are referred to as the intensification phases. During your accumulation phases, you want to accumulate volume, which means you will be performing higher repetitions with lighter loads, and the time under tension of each set will be longer. During your intensification phases, you want to perform a higher number of sets using a greater intensity or load, and rest for longer periods of time in between each set. This style of periodization is terrific for intermediate lifters and is great for minimizing plateaus and maximizing short-term gains. In a practical setting, if you were to write a 6-month undulating periodization workout for the purposes of increasing hypertrophy and strength, then it might look something a little like this. Month 1 is going to be your accumulation phase 1, and you can perform 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions with 90 seconds rest. Then month 2 will be your intensification phase 1, where you will perform 5 sets of 4 to 6 repetitions with 240 seconds rest. Month 3 will be your accumulation phase 2, where you will perform 4 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions with 120 seconds rest. Then month 4 will be your intensification phase 2, where you will perform 5 sets of 3 to 5 repetitions with 300 seconds rest. Then in month 5, you can have your accumulation phase 3, where you will perform 4 sets of 5 to 7 repetitions with 240 seconds rest, and finish off month 6 as your intensification phase 3 with 6 sets of 2 to 3 repetitions with 300 seconds rest. Lastly, we have block periodization. Block periodization is a planning structure that focuses on long-term growth with the goal of helping athletes achieve peak performance in their respective sport. Each mesocycle, or block, will focus on developing one specific quality, biomotor ability, or energy system. Depending on the sport being trained for and the needs of the athlete, this style of periodization will look very different for each athlete. Once you performed an assessment and a needs analysis, you want to spend more time developing the biomotor ability that is most lacking. Most of the athletes that I coach are professional fighters, with most of them either being boxers or MMA fighters. So here are a couple of examples of how I would write some training programs using block periodization for one of my boxers or MMA fighters based off each of their specific needs. If I were to write a 13-week program for a boxer with poor strength, I might start off with having block 1 focusing on 2 weeks of anatomical adaptation, then the second block, 6 weeks of strength training, the third block can focus on 3 weeks of strength endurance training using sport-specific movements, and then the fourth block would be 2 weeks maintaining the strength endurance that we have built. Then, let's say I have an MMA fighter who has very poor conditioning and I have 26 weeks to prepare them. The first block, I might do 2 weeks of anatomical adaptation. The second block, I could do something like 8 weeks of strength training. In the third block, I could do 4 weeks of power training. In the fourth block, do 4 weeks of strength training. In the fifth block, I can do 6 weeks of strength endurance training using sport-specific movements. And in the sixth and final block, we can do 2 weeks of maintenance training where we are going to maintain the strength and the endurance that we've built up throughout camp. Try experimenting with these 3 styles of periodization and be sure to keep a training journal. Remember, you should be improving at least 2% from workout to workout, so plan your workouts in advance, and when you find that you are no longer improving, then move on to the next plan. If you follow this advice, then you'll make significantly greater progress because variety is the spice of life.
Thanks for hanging around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and comment down in the comment section, as it would really help out with the algorithm. And also share this video so we can help get this information out to as many people as possible. And also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the icon in the bottom right hand corner and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos. For those of you interested in health optimization, you can check out the video in the top right corner where I discuss the 6 foundation principles. And for those of you interested in optimizing your performance, then consider becoming a member. It's only $5 per month, and you get a ton of perks, including exclusive access to this program design lecture series playlist above my head.